welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning family, the Visionaries, thank you for your continuous love and support. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please feel at home. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. When it comes to politics, especially around election time, there's always many different stories that come to the forefront. Some are true and some are full of lies. But the one thing that is always consistent is the more that people hear something over and over again, the more they start to believe it. This is what we call the court of public opinion, and it can be very, very dangerous. I was really interested to see that on the comment section of my last video, there's a lot of people alluding to VBS and EFF. I asked myself, is this true? How could it be? I need to do my research. So I scrolled through many different sources and have put together some different clips showing people's different perspectives on this very topic. We're going to hear from the DA, a political analyst, Prince, Julius Malema, many different reporters and journalists, and the Treasurer General from EFF. But before we jump into them, I want you to make sure you ask yourself 3 simple questions as you're listening to these clips. First of all, who's talking and what is their agenda? Secondly, is what they're saying factual or is it opinion-based? And thirdly, is there concrete evidence to prove what they're saying is true? As I mentioned, people will believe something when you hear it over and over again as gospel. Just think of Donald Trump in 2020 when he lost the elections in the United States. He kept telling people that the election was rigged and in fact he had won. He said it over and over again, so much so that other people started to repeat it and that everyday people started to believe him, to the point where they went to Capitol Hill on January 6th and caused the insurrection. This is very dangerous. And perhaps we have to consider what we hear in the media and social media and other sources is just conjecture and opinion-based. So let's take a listen to the clips and come back and analyze.
I also forgot, we were dealing with an ANC proposal today, but of course there is a party in this house with experience in stealing pensioners' savings. So of course it was most wonderful to hear them speaking in the debate and telling us about their experience, because of course when they see prescribed assets, they don't see 4 trillion rand in hard-earned savings, they see a 4 trillion rand VBS. And what a shiny prize that would be.
Can the VBS bank looters please give me a chance?
No, you are not going to call. The EFF has a history, the leadership has a history of collapsing Limpopo. So I am more scared of the coalition between the EFF and the ANC more than I am scared of the coalition between the DA, IFP, and Action SA and the rest of other opposition parties.
Joining us now is political analyst Prince Mashele. He joins us as we unpack this. A very good evening, very good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, the EFF has always projected itself as a party that is championing for the people. It is against looting. It is against corruption. Yet we find them in the midst and somewhat at the helm in this VBS saga.
Let's paint a clear picture in order to understand the EFF. The ANC is a university of corruption. The EFF are its graduates. So what you see in the EFF is what they learned in the ANC. So even the response is predictable. I can assure you, when they hold their press statement, this press conference this morning, they will actually dismiss and deny everything, even though the public knows exactly what happened. So that's the context of the EFF. The EFF is a rogue party. It is a party that was formed to perpetuate looting by Julius Malema, Floyd, and those around them. You will recall that before they formed the EFF, they actually collapsed Limpopo, an entire province. Actually, Julius Malema made history at the time. He and Castle Matale, who was premier of Limpopo at the time, collapsed the finances of an entire province called Limpopo, to the extent that it was taken over by the national government. Now, fast forward to when they formed the EFF. They projected themselves as champions against corruption. Why? They read the national mood and understood that South Africans were sick and tired of corruption. So they reinvented themselves to project themselves as champions against corruption. But at the core, these are corrupt fellows who were well trained in the ANC.
There's a very strong statements coming from you on the EFF and what, of course, it's based on.
We note the release of the VBS Mutual Bank report and express great disgust at those who have facilitated the collapse of the bank for selfish and self-enrichment purposes at the expense of the poor. VBS Mutual Bank was founded on the deposit of humble rural self-help financial associations like Stokvels and burial societies. The corruption and maladministration, therefore, saw many of the villagers unable to even bury their dead. We therefore reiterate that all those who have been found to have benefited illegally from the bank's collapse must be criminally prosecuted. However, we reject the witch hunt and mob justice that seeks to declare people guilty through the courts of public opinion. The law must take its course, and all who are implicated must fully cooperate with law enforcement institutions. The Deputy President of the EFF, Floyd Shivambu, has taken the EFF leadership into confidence in relation to the VBS media claims, and we have no reason to doubt him, more so because he is not mentioned in the official Motaung VBS report. The EFF has not been mentioned in the report, neither has it been accused of any wrongdoing. We note that several persons mentioned in the report are challenging the validity and the lawfulness of the report on the basis that Advocate Motaung did not afford them the right to put their side of the story. Therefore, any pronouncement based on the validity of the report are premature. The enemies of our revolution who wish to see the EFF, which is the only voice of the poor, silenced, are seeking to bring both our Deputy President and the organization through a backdoor into the VBS saga. We have full confidence in our Deputy President, Floyd Shivambu. We remain united and unshaken by any and all attempts to slow down or discredit the EFF. We reiterate that we reject categorically any suggestion and move to shut down VBS Mutual Bank. The reported amount that has been lost in VBS Mutual Bank is 1.9 billion. We know that the African Bank has lost close to 80 billion, yet it was bailed out by government and other banks. We call on all efforts to focus on saving this bank of the black, poor, and rural masses of our people. This must be done to ensure that financial sector does not remain white-dominated and untransformed. I thank you. And I explained to him the long history of how we've been accused from time to time. And I advised him that if we can assemble a group of journalists, perhaps 5, predominantly African, who can come and engage us on these matters, that will be very interesting. After that conversation with him, my son insisted that if you have nothing to hide, why are you excluding Polly van Wyk? Because she's the one who has been writing stories about you. And I immediately gave some girl a call and said, please extend the invite to Polly van Wyk, which he did and subsequently Vuyani did. In the conversation between Vuyani and Polly van Wyk, Polly said she's in Cape Town and therefore not able to travel. Vuyani said the planes are now open, you can travel. Then Polly said, I don't have a permit. Vuyani said, you are a journalist, the permits are given to journalists. Then she said, no, actually my husband is a doctor and I'm with the family and my husband is overexposed and I don't want to risk anyone's life. But I can give you the number of Mika Reddy to come and join because he wrote about VBS as well. And then contact, but I will join through Zoom or Skype. So she had committed to join through Zoom or Skype. Then Mika said they can't join. They collectively took a decision not to join. So that's where we come from with the Polyfund Vic. Different excuses given, trying to find every reason not to be here and take this opportunity to to ask questions. Now, you will know I was arrested in Polokwane for on-point tenders, and I went to court. Since my arrest in Polokwane, I've never missed a court date. I've always been there. But NPA kept on postponing. Some of the accused will also ask for postponement for this or that reason. Not once did I ask for postponement. My last appearance in Polokwane court, I said to the judge, since these people are applying for postponement, can I be separated and be tried alone? Because I've always wanted to be accountable. I thought that gave me an opportunity to be held accountable. So the judge said to me, you cannot apply to be separated. Only the NPA can apply to separate you. And the judge extended the invitation to the NPA and said, he wants to be separated. Why not take the opportunity? The NPA said, we're not going to do that. And as a result, the judge removed the matter from the roll and said to the NPA, you can institute the matter anytime you want to institute the matter. Then the favorite NPA head came and said she's reinstituting the matter and she's charging Lisiba and them, and excluded me from being charged, at least for now, because she wants to see what will come out of the trial. So she won't charge me. She will not charge me. Even in the future, she can't charge me. Even if she charges me, she will never succeed because I'm not involved in those things. Limpopo had a budget of 47 billion. On point got a tender of 50 million. Wrongly or rightfully so, I don't want to deal with that. How can a tender of 50 million collapse a budget of 47 billion?
Sorry. Just to interrupt you there on the 50 million. On point, you, through your family trust, were a shareholder of On Point Engineering. Surely you can't say you were not interested or not bothered on that 50 million rand contract because it impacted on your financial and economic upward mobility in life. Because surely as a shareholder of On Point Engineers through Ratanang, you would get some sort of proceeds from the profits that would be generated on that contract.
It's a common cause. It's undisputed. So why do you want to canvass the grounds that are not disputed? I'm a shareholder in On Point. I got money in On Point. Madonsela makes that point. So the matter of whether On Point got a tender rightfully or wrongly is now before court. All I'm saying is, you cannot have a tender of 50 million, collapse a province of a budget of 47 billion. So the intention has always been to smear me, to delegitimize me, so that I do not add my voice in the anti-corruption project of the country. So Katsel was the premier, Binki was the MEC, Masondo was the MEC. All these people who presided over that government are today ministers or deputy ministers in the clean government. The dark cloud of having collapsed the government of Limpopo remains with me, who has never been in government. But where, some girl, maybe you'll teach me, where have you ever seen a situation where the corrupt get charged, but there is no the corruptee? No one is charged from government, the collapsed government of Limpopo. The person who has enabled that corruption in Limpopo. In the indictment on Point, nowhere do they say Malema bribed this one or that one in order to get the tender. So if I influenced the tender, since I was not in government, who did I influence? And what was the power of this person? And why is this person not charged? If the matter is legitimate and want to resolve the problem of corruption, that is with regard to On Point in Limpopo. So the VBS matter right? I've never spoken to VBS people. The person I know in VBS and do not know that much about that person is Matodzi, the chairperson of Vele, who was introduced to me at the party of the Bavenda King, Bumpepu. So I've never had any dealings with them. This is very simple, Samge. When a case is opened, the Hawks have got access to all our forms of communication. They can even apply Section 205, get it from the judge, go into the history of our phones. In this case, they've done, by the way, with the VBS colleagues who are arrested. Nowhere will you ever find me in any form of communication with any of the VBS people.
But it's not about communication for you with the VBS people.
No.
There is a bank card, Mr. Malema.
We're coming to that. Yes, we're coming to that. I get it, we're building a case.
Okay.
So,
Julius, sorry, hold on. I want to go back to the issue around the VBS people that you never had contact with. Then one needs to ask, why was it then? Did you never wonder why they found EFF to be strategic all along? Because that's kind of what the communication has been. When you look at Paulie van Wyk stories, which, by the way, I understand her stance for her not deciding not to come. I absolutely get it. I think it's sad because there are many questions. She's led the story of VBS and would have been great to have in the room. But I also understand why she made a decision not to. But coming back to the issue of VBS and EFF is the one thing she's managed to show is that VBS was seen as critical throughout. I mean, EFF was seen as critical. Have you not asked yourself why, if you've never had communications with these people, why would they look at your party?
But CD, let's not talk general. We're no longer gossiping now. We're dealing with facts. Read an SMS where they said EFF is strategic of Paulie van Wyk. Read it to me.
All right, I think
There's no any form of communication in Vele, in VBS, in any of the evidence displayed by you where they describe EFF as being strategic. No, not a single one.
You are, Julius.
Yeah.
And perhaps the one SMS that we can go to is the one that Floyd Shivambu sent to the former Minister of Finance, Nene.
Yes.
And just to quote there, he says, "Greetings, Minister. It looks like VBS will be placed under curatorship, mainly due to something that National Treasury had not clarified in terms of accounts of municipalities," right? So this was a clear attempt by the second in command of the EFF to try and influence a decision on putting VBS under curatorship. We also know on record that the EFF played quite a strategic role in terms of communication via a press release where you were very critical of the Reserve Bank putting the bank under curatorship. So there were at least mechanizations by the EFF to stop the bank from being placed under curatorship. You clearly had an interest there.
Yes, but you're deflecting. She says there's an SMS. I'll come to that.
Okay.
There's an SMS that says EFF. It's a strategic entity to be influenced. I'm saying to her, there is no such communication. There isn't. Nowhere can you find a communication that says Julius is strategic, Floyd is strategic, EFF is strategic. There's no such a communication.
So if there is no such communication, why
Now,
is it
the
that
EFF opposed on principle, even now, we still stand by that position that the VBS was supposed to have been rescued because it was one of the black banks. And the VBS should have been given a full banking license. And anyone found to have violated the banking regulations should be charged and blacklisted not to practice banking anywhere in the country.
But even now, Julius, you're still defending the SAR putting VBS under curatorship. I mean, given what we have seen from the forensic report about the great heist, right? How do you, at this point, say the bank should have not put VBS under curatorship when so many people have lost their money? And clearly there was mismanagement of that bank, and there are still hundreds of old people, pensioners who have lost their life savings. And today you're still saying, in principle, they should never have put it under curatorship.
I still maintain, rescue a black bank, arrest the criminals, hold them accountable, recover the money, and pay the depositors. But the idea of a black bank being closed under a democratic government, under a government which never established any bank, that bank was established by the Bavenda king, existed under difficult times. Why should it be closed now? Should we just close a bank because there are criminal elements in the banks, or should we arrest the criminal elements? Let's arrest criminal elements and rescue the bank.
But part of a curating process is just to ensure that you have a deeper look into what is happening internally. And that's part and parcel of what usually happens. But Julius, do you now see though, right? On the one hand, you as a political party and senior members of that political party trying to save this particular bank, and then subsequently reports of you, allegations of you and Floyd in particular having benefited. Do you see why there would be questions around, did you defend it because you knew there were people close to you that were benefiting from VBS and you were trying to protect that, and also by extension, you were also benefiting?
No, I see that as trying to silence us in protecting a black bank. So anyone who protects blackness must be labeled as corrupt. And I will never buy into that. I've got no one close to me who benefited from VBS. No one. And I've never benefited from VBS. I'm saying to you, Matlatsi, we are here now. I'm giving you an opportunity to present to me and to the country an evidence of me taking a political position because I'm benefiting out of it. We are the ones who have always fought for black people and Africans everywhere.
Mr. Malema, you cannot use the issue of a black face to fight corruption in this instance, because you are basically just deflecting the issue. On the issue of you benefiting from VBS, for instance, there is this bank card that Polly has done magnificent work on. Wherever you were, be it Cape Town, be it in the land hearings in the Northwest, be it in the Eastern Cape, be it at the Durban July, this credit card is always where you are, and it's Mahuna Investments, which received over 4.3 million rands from Skameka Investments, which got monies from VBS, which is a company owned by Brian Chivambu. So why is this credit card or bank card always where you are?
Well, my brother is always where I am. He's a brother of mine. We work together. So there is no problem if his card gets to be used where I am. He is here now. The card might be used somewhere here now. Let's take Durban July, for instance. My brother's company hosted a marquee in Durban July where they sell tickets and they sell alcohol to people. If you go to the hotel and you can't say, you celebrating mediocre because you say Polyfan Vec did an excellent work with this card. That is, there's no excellent work. It's a bank statement. You can give me your bank statement. I'll tell you where you bought. By just looking at that, it's not intelligence.
No,
it's a bank statement.
Mr. Malema, no. I mean, she went beyond that. Literally, she has been able to
it's a statement and then a Facebook status
Mr. Malema,
of the EFF.
you are telling us that this brother of yours does not work. He's always where you are. And
No, he's working. He was working in Durban. He was working in Durban.
What does he do?
Huh?
What does he do?
I just explained to you that in Durban, he hosted at Durban July Marquee. I was at his Marquee. He sells alcohol there. Let's take the Durban card for instance.
And then he uses his own card to then buy stuff for you there.
Not his own, buy for me.
No, you're saying he buys wherever you go.
No, but he uses his card for himself, not buy for me.
Okay.
I buy for myself. And for information, I don't buy from H&H. I don't buy from Pep. I don't buy from
Gucci.
I don't buy from Nando's. And I don't buy for that amount at Gucci. So nothing is very close to me. If you were to look at mine in comparison to that, you'll be shocked.
Why don't you subject yourself to a lifestyle?
In the Durban, coming back here, your friend Polly did an excellent work, right? The excellent work, Matlatsi, would be knowing that I didn't drive from Durban July. I flew. Because he says Malema on his way back from Durban July, he bought Nando's. But I flew from Durban. I didn't drive. So why would I buy Nando's? My brother in all the rallies of the EFF, he's there. All of them, by the way. All my cousins are active business people in their own right, and they're EFF members and EFF leaders. We spend most of the time together. So, what he does with his own money and his own cut is none of my business. I don't, for instance, the Hawks have got all the power. Let's go to Durban. Let them go to the hotel where the police says I booked into a hotel. Let them go and see. I didn't sleep in that hotel when I was at the Durban July. Let them go to a Freiburg, a land hearing. Let them go and check. Every business premises has got cameras. Let them go and check there. They will never find me in those things. Now, coming to your lifestyle audit, there's no politician in this country who has been subjected to lifestyle audit than me. SARS conducts that. From time to time, SARS conducts that. And you will know that I've been subjected to that. So I'm not scared of such things.
Then why don't you just call for it to be done openly and...
On which grounds?
Mr. Malema, you're saying your cousins and your brothers are in business, and some of them are always around you.
No, all of them.
All of them, they're always around you. You've had a scenario in this country where the former president's relatives and the incumbent's son were all doing business with relatively, what may say, allegations of dodgy business people. Are you not, in a sense, having your brothers or your cousins compromise you? Because they are essentially, with Mahuna and Skameka and Sangatara, they're involved in these issues of VBS.
They are business people. No. They've always been. No, they are. And they don't need...
deny that. When coming in, sorry, Julie.
No, but you just started by saying no. What
okay,
is
let me
that?
give you a
They are
chance before
business
I come in.
people.
No, go ahead.
And they've been business people long before the EFF. Some of them implicated in Limpopo. Some of them have gone through the courts in Limpopo and won cases in Limpopo. I'm not there when they get to be subjected to those things. They answer for themselves. Majority of them, by the way, married with not less than 2 kids. So if they can't do business, what must they do? I can't feed them. In a country where the unemployment is very high.
So you are saying that it's okay to have your cousins allegedly compromise you in the form
No,
of...
they're not compromising me. It's correct for my cousins to do business. Let them do it.
Julius?
Let them do it.
Fair, I accept that. Né?
Yeah.
You know, last year, towards the EFF second elective conference, the NPA,
Yeah.
you were upset about the behavior of particular EFF leaders in regions and provinces, those who were lazy.
Yeah.
And you were speaking about the clumsiness and the impact of all of that on brand Julius Malema specifically.
Not me.
No, hold on, let me finish. Yes, you.
No, but
because then, Julius, before that, you and I had a sit
But
down.
quote it.
I'm
gossip.
not gossiping.
Yeah,
I'm taking you to our interview.
I've never said that.
Let
Quote
me finish.
Quote it.
Let me finish.
Yes.
Then you and I have a sit down.
Yes.
And I said to you, you seem really upset when you see the things that happen and the attacks on the EFF because you say they fall on your head and you agreed.
Yes.
And you spoke about the impact of anything that goes wrong. It is pointed directly at Julius Malema.
I just want to be quite clear. So you are stating categorically that you have never enjoyed any of the money that was taken looted from VBS.
Matate, you've got the platform. Put it to me. That's my vision.
I am asking you.
That's my vision. I've never benefited any cent from VBS. And why would I benefit from VBS in exchange for what?
Okay, so
if this is the vision I present and you refuse to accept it, present your vision.
I just want us to be quite clear.
Yes.
All right. Now you're saying that this credit card that Polly in her investigation has shown that it has followed you around.
Yes.
Did you at any point benefit from the use of that credit card by simply the fact that this is your cousin, brother who is with you and might have bought something for you?
Well, I wouldn't know if he used the credit card. He won't say to me, Uti, I'm now going to swipe a VBS card or Mauna card or anything. So if I'm sitting with him, one of the instances Polly mentions in Seychelles, that we went to Nimi's Chisanyam. So I will go sit there with them. And then when I leave, they pay. Okay. So I wouldn't know how they paid and all of that.
But now you do. Julius, what I'm but now you do know that there was money that was taken from VBS.
Not by my cousin. My cousin has never used any VBS money.
But Mr. Malema, there's a proven payment from Skameka,
Yes.
which received a payment from VBS
So
into Mahuna.
Skameka is VBS according to you.
No, but the
money, the source of the money is VBS. It moved from VBS, Vela, to Skameka, to Mahuna. The very same Mahuna that in the middle of a fuel contract in Tshwane, just in the middle of the adjudication of the tenders, had been receiving monies the day before, on the day of the tender of the adjudication, or that is Mahuna, and after the adjudication of that particular tender in Tshwane. So this Mahuna, wherever the EFF is co-governing, whether it be Joburg, Tshwane, now in the issue allegations of corruption in VBS, it's there. And this company is linked to who? To you through your brother or cousin.
You know, you just did a very brilliant work for me. Because you say that card is VBS card, but at the same time you say there was money that came from a company that does work in Tshwane, a company that does work in Joburg, a company that does work in agriculture department. So it's not a VBS money. It's a money that belongs to Mahuna.
Part of that money was...
Now your new question is part of the money.
No, I'm saying to you, Julius, so there is some benefit. And
but you keep on shifting the goalpost.
I want to finish my question.
Yes, you keep on shifting the goalpost. Your colleague answered you. The same card has got businesses in different entities. It's not receiving money only from Skameka.
Mr. Malema, no, stop misquoting things. For instance,
misquoting who?
Let me give you a classical example. This particular company, fuel company in Tshwane, the tender is advertised on the 19th of June 2018. On the 5th of July 2018 is a full tender compulsory briefing. On the 6th of July, Mafuna Investments, from this particular company that is tendering to get this contract, hasn't gotten the contract yet, pays an amount of 250,000 rands to Mahuna Investments. What is Mahuna providing to this particular company that is bidding in Tshwane and is linked to your cousin? And the day after, a particular payment of, when the tender closes, R1 million payment is made to DDM Media and Entertainment, which is linked to the Secretary General of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Marshal Dlamini. On the 27th of July, a further 500,000 rands is deposited into this Mahuna Investments from this company that is tendering to get this contract in Tshwane, which was set aside yesterday at the North Gauteng High Court.
Yes.
What is the relationship?
The relationship is that the company is doing business with other companies.
What kind of business is this Mahuna doing there?
It's not doing business. It's not only receiving money from Skameka. I'm happy that point you have clarified it so well for me. The company is involved in different types of businesses, be it consulting, be it entertainment, be it events, be it accommodation, hospitality. It does different types of things. It did business with the company that got fuel tender in Tshwane. But we were not controlling Tshwane. We didn't have any, you see, Samkelo, the best journalism would be, Malema, you got 500,000 into Mahuna, and then you went to speak to the municipal manager. Municipal manager spoke to the chair of the bidding committee, and then the adjudicating committee. Therefore, this company got a tender. You cannot just throw an allegation and say, yeah, they gave you a bribe, and then they got a tender. How did we influence it? The mayor is a DA mayor. The administrators are appointed by the DA. In the same tender, Samkelo, do further investigation. Amabungani then comes later to say, no, actually this guy has got a cousin who sits in the bid committees there. It looks like it's the one who gives him tenders. But the reality of the situation is that that company you are talking about did business in Tshwane long before the existence of the EFF. They didn't start doing business in Tshwane because of the EFF. But the EFF never controlled the tenders, the process, the senior managers of Tshwane. So, Matlat, the money my brother uses is not the money of VBS. It's the money of his company that comes from all types of sources.
Including VBS.
Including Skameka. He has never received money
including
from
Skameka
yes.
from VBS.
No, you can. The reality is that my brother and me, you can say all you want to say. We don't have any dealings with VBS. We don't have. present any evidence sitting here, and I allow you to do it, that suggests my brother gets this money from Zgamega because he did the following work for VBS, or I did that. No, people are going to be arrested now, Matatsi. Watch the space. CFOs, municipal managers, mayors, and some politicians in the ANC. I want to tell you now that if there is any municipality that can say, we put money into the VBS because Malema said we must do that, I will resign all the positions of the EFF without any hesitation.
Malema, stop deflecting.
I'm not deflecting unless you don't know the concept of deflecting.
Wait. This can't be your show.
Then say it in suit.
It can't be your show. We need to, let's engage.
It's my show. I'm the one
it's
who's
not your show.
answering
We're here for
questions.
an engagement. If it's your show, we're going to walk out.
Don't threaten because you don't have facts.
That's a fact.
You are threatening. How not the issue? You don't have issues. You are threatening. You ran out of issues.
Mr.
But now you ran out of issues. You want to go. The door is open. If you're exhausted your issues, you can go.
Mr. Malema.
You don't know what deflection means. We're still on VBS.
Mr. Malema, these payments, is it not suspicious to you that this particular company in Tshwane that is bidding for this contract is making payments to DDM Entertainment of Marshall Dlamini, the SG, and also making payments without you clarifying what sort of business they are doing to this particular BTT fuel company or trading company that got this contract that has been nullified by the North Gauteng High Court? Why are they making payments to Mahuna and to DDM and later on to Slankatara of investments, which is also linked to you? Is it not suspicious to you?
No, it's not at all. But the boys are working. It's business to business
What
relationship.
kind of business are they doing?
I've explained to you. I said consultancy, hospitality, management, events, all types of events. So I wouldn't want to go and answer details of what the boys are doing with the company in question.
Are you not concerned that you have companies?
No, I'm concerned. I asked
people
them.
close to you
I
are
asked them.
implicated
That's
in
why.
so many things.
That's why I asked them. No, not in so many things.
Okay, in
Yeah.
a few things that
Yeah.
have been
No,
maybe
finish
not
your
so
sentence.
many.
So you asked them,
I
you
asked them. I asked them. They explained. They explained everything that, specifically with the companies that are exposed. I may not know other things, but I will ask them what's happening here. What is the story here? They will be able to say to Chief, these people who are involved with them on this project, which has got nothing to do with Tshwane. So
Good evening to the viewers of Newsroom.
So, I mean, first and foremost, I've got to say it's very difficult to speak to this report because the committee members tell us that they are bound by secrecy. So they are not allowed to speak to the media about the committee's business. So we're not actually even quite sure what they were looking at that led them to this conclusion. Nonetheless, the conclusion is that the deputy leader of EFF, Floyd Chiwambu, received three payments, 100,000, 30,000, and 50,000. What is the response from the EFF team?
No, thank you, Tobo. Firstly, let's correct the misinformation and false reporting by the likes of yourself and Taddeo-Nxumalo just now. I mean, all of you are saying the leader received money from VBS. It's not correct. And even the ethics committee itself came out and said that's not money from the VBS. The money is from a company, private company called Zgamega, which is owned by obviously the brother of the deputy president of the EFF. But I want us to walk out of this room being very crystal clear that the money is not from VBS, like everybody has been falsely reporting. He's been clear. The president of the EFF, together with the deputy president of the EFF, both of them, have been cleared that the money does not come from the VBS. That's one. Two, Tabo, the ethics committee is disingenuous in their report because there is an affidavit that was taken under oath that says that this was loans that were given by Zgamega to the deputy president of the EFF. They never asked the deputy president to produce bank statements that support that indeed the money was a loan. There was an affidavit that was deposed by Zgamega, but so the chairperson of the committee earlier on when he was being interviewed in the morning, he says they went to the Financial Intelligence Center.
If I
The
say to
question
them,
is-
we don't report to
No, but the question is, why would you go there? You are sitting here with a member of this house that is being, a complaint has been laid against. Why are you not asking him? So it doesn't matter how much I hate you. You have to be fair in your process. We know even murderers, they are given an opportunity to respond themselves. But here, no, DP was never asked to respond. Instead, they go and ask other institutions of the information that DP would have easily produced. So you can see that really they were...
What is their interest in finding the Deputy President of the EFF guilty?
Thabo, it has been an issue from day one that they want to taint the name of the EFF. They want this VBS saga to be an EFF issue. From day one, I mean, currently as we speak, people are being prosecuted, people are being taken to court and all that. Others are already in jail. None of the leaders of the EFF are facing any of those things. I hear now that the DA leader says is going to put pressure on the Hawks and the SIU. They've been investigating from as early as when this issue was reported. Nothing has been done so far to the leader of the EFF and to the deputy president of the EFF. So there's nothing that links the EFF to VBS. And
So,
we
I
must
mean,
report fairly.
The Registrar of Members of Interest, Advocate Anthea Gordon, saying that the 180,000 is from Skameka projects, as you put it, between the 18th of August to the 26th of August 2017. John Steenhuisen saying that, well, that money is related to the VBS scandal because, again, Polly van Wyk was on a little bit earlier today, and here's what she has to say on that. She says that the truth is that, in fact, let's just play the clip so that you can hear from her exactly what she has to say and why they're drawing the link between the two.
The truth is the truth, and that will not change. The money flows had come from VBS-linked companies to Skameka, which was managed by Brian Shivambu, but the ultimate beneficiaries were Mahuna Investments and Grand Azania, which each of those were the front companies for Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu, and I proved it in numerous ways in terms of tracking who the properties are owned by, who the cars are owned by, and the cards, the bank cards linked to those accounts, followed Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu right around the country. It means that the beneficial owners of the money was Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu. No one else. Very few, like 100,000 or so, went to Brian Shivambu that I could trace. So very few of the millions that they stole went to anyone else. So they can call me what they want. They should take me to court rather, and let's fight it out in an open court where all of us can bring our evidence and see who then comes out on top. Because that they haven't dared to do. They haven't dared to take me to court.
It's one investigative journalist who's created that link. The DA seems to believe that is certainly linked in such a manner.
You know, the Chief Justice, Polly van Wyk, if she says she claims she's got evidence, why is she not giving it to the Hawks? She's actually defeating the ends of justice because she's got evidence that links the deputy president and the president of the EFF to this, and she's keeping it. Instead, she's talking to you. Why is she not handing it over to the Hawks and the police and the SIU? So she is actually defeating the ends of justice. She must be arrested. We won't waste our time with nobody's tab. We are busy. I'm coming from Mpumalanga there to do Umuntu Mtwini. That's our campaign. 2024 is going to be our 1994. We don't have time for useless people like Poli. Who's Poli after all? But what is more painful, and the message that we want to draw to South Africans is, especially blacks in particular, is that according to Poli and all of them, John Staines and all of them, it means a black person can't do business. This Gameka was a business. It had projects that it was doing. It got paid. The money that went into Skameka, it was not only from VBS, as loan from VBS. They were doing other work outside the VBS loans that they received. So the money that is being talked about now is as if Skameka only received money from the VBS bank. That's not correct. So Brian Shivambu was almost 29 years at the time. He has got every right to trade and do business in this country. He's an African child, and Polly van Wyk and them must not think that only white people can own businesses in this country. We also deserve to own businesses in this country. So that is what is more painful, is because they don't see us as people who can actually do business and succeed in business. They must always link us to being thieves and stealing money and all that. But I'm saying, at the end of it, Thabo, we're not going to take Bolifan Veig to court. We don't have time for that. Yeah. She's got evidence. She must be asked, why is she withholding that evidence? Because then it means she's defeating the ends of justice.
We heard clips from the DA. Now, also keep in mind, the Democratic Alliance is a political party, and their responsibility is to discredit other political parties. And of course, don't forget, the Democratic Alliance has identified the EFF as enemy number one in the 2024 election. So what they were saying, was it factual or based on opinions? Well, it was conjecture, of course. Did they show any concrete evidence to prove what they're saying was right? No. And you can bet your bottom dollar the Democratic Alliance, if they had concrete evidence, they would make sure the police, the SIU, and others would have it to bring them to justice. We then move into the clip of Prince, the political analyst, keeping in mind that political analysts do a lot of research on stats and polls. Then they add in their personal perspective and opinion and come up with something fun and snazzy to say. And Prince does this in his interview, even when the journalist called him out on what he was saying, because she knew that he didn't have evidence. So we have to look at what he said. Was it fact or his opinion? Well, it was definitely his opinion. And if we look back at history, we know how Prince truly feels about the EFF. And that's okay. He's entitled to his opinion. However, he did not produce any evidence to back what he's saying. We then hear from Julius Malema when he's addressing the press conference after the saga of the VBS was brought out. He shared the EFF's perspective and how they were standing by the deputy president. He cautioned South Africans and people across the globe to not get caught up in the court of public opinion, but also to listen to the evidence that is presented. This was a good opportunity for the EFF to share their perspective on what they felt was happening and have their say, but also to give people a good, solid look at what the truth is. As we then segue into the next one, we hear the different journalists coming to interview Julius Malema, where they were invited to interrogate him on this very topic. Polly, who's an investigative journalist, done a lot of research into this, claiming she found evidence tying the EFF to the VBS money. She was invited to come and after several excuses decided not to attend. But the journalists that were there, who were not investigative journalists, used the information that Polly had dug up based on bank statements, following the paper trail, as she claimed, and her conjecture. They asked the hard questions of Julius Malema, and he gave different answers than what Polly was showing that everybody has two sides to every story. The journalists asked hard questions, and they were able to ask openly. But Julius Malema continuously asked, do you have hard evidence to back that statement? And of course, they did not have the evidence to show. This gave a great opportunity for journalists to ask the questions, Julius Malema to share his side of the story, and for us as consumers of media to make up our own mind based on what was being presented in this interview. We then segue into the last clip where the Treasurer General is being interviewed on Newsroom Africa. She starts off by condemning the journalists for not sharing correct information about the Deputy President and how the loans he received were from VBS and not from a private company, which they were. She shares her perspective and the perspective of the EFF on this topic, clearly outlines it, and the journalist then plays the clip from Polly. Now, Polly is that investigative journalist, and she claims that she has hard, concrete evidence that ties the Deputy President and President of the EFF to the VBS money. And she encourages them to take her to court to produce this evidence. I pondered for a second and wondered, how could this be? If she had hard evidence, why was she not turning over to the police, the SIU, and the Hawks? Because you can be rest assured if there was concrete evidence that they would have been brought up on charges. So why is it that the EFF has been tying to VBS when there's no concrete evidence? The reality is it's because people keep talking about it over and over again, their opinions and misinformation, and people start to believe it. We know that, in fact, if the court had evidence, they would have been charged, brought to court, and found guilty and put in jail, because others that are tied to VBS have gone through the same process. So it's clear that there's no concrete evidence that EFF had anything to do with VBS. So once again, why are we having these conversations, and why are people still in South Africa connecting EFF to VBS? Well, this is where the court of public opinion happens. That misinformation that we've heard over and over again, they believe it. They believe it with all of their hearts. So they keep talking about it. And this is how lies get spread. So what is it that we're to do as consumers of media? Well, we need to really ask ourselves those 3 questions whenever we come in contact with any story. But I also want to tie it back to what I said about Donald Trump. Again, he made sure that he said it over and over again that people believed he had won the election. These people were found guilty after committing crimes on January 6th. They were taken to court, found guilty, and spent time in jail. And recently, one of those individuals said they wish they had listened to the facts and not the rhetoric of the former president. His life has been impacted forever based on lies. So let's hope that we don't all get caught up in that same web of the court of public opinion. Do your research. If you have the opportunity to vote in an election in your country this year, when you hear a story, ask yourself those questions. Find out the truth. Don't listen to the rhetoric or the court of public opinion. If you don't have the opportunity to vote, that's okay too, because I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on VBS and EFF, the court of public opinion, and even more. Drop your comments below. Let's have a conversation. And please don't forget to hit that notification button, like and share. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.